Hello everyone, welcome to our 14th episode of Girls Tech Talk with me, Tara and Shrima. And in this episode, we are going to talk about microservices, a kind of basic guideline or a way of approach which you should follow for creation of microservices, in which Shrima will talk about in length. But I just want to start with what exactly microservices is and why we want to talk about it. So microservices is basically architecture style which we follow for structuring our application as a collection of services where the services are kind of loosely coupled and can be deployed and tested individually and have only individual or specific features around them. So it should not contain like altogether lots of features in it, but individual features and can be maintained independently. So that is there, and we want to talk about it because selecting microservices architecture is kind of crucial and important in a way when you try to implement it. Because when you try to design a good microservices architecture, you have to identify services very carefully and design the responsibility and integration of these APIs very like in a collaborative way. Otherwise, what will happen is it will eventually become a distributed monolith. Your application will become a distributed monolith. So that's why understanding the architecture and implementing in a correct way is pretty much important and very much critical. So we want to talk about it. And Shrima, I'll just give it to you so that you can tell us more insight and give us an idea like how we should approach for microservices.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Tara. So this episode is talking about microservice, and the next episode we are going to deploy them in different containers and do an comparisons with our findings. So as Tara has already mentioned, why we are adopting microservice. One of the reasons and that is relatable to our case study is how much computation efforts is required for that microservice, means how many time I am dependent on that service. So that is also one of the design criteria of hosting that service in different container options available. So I will share my screen to talk about more about our case study. And as a developer, if you are starting with microservice, you can use this framework and you can start your code from here. I will share. So this is our GitHub page for this code, and this is the case study of that. So what we are trying to do here, so this is like taken from a public forum. It talks about that we have to find the nearest possible charging station, and the company is trying to building an self-autonomous vehicle where it will automatically identify whether that car is required charging. And the informations we have, like we know all the charging stations available, we know the trip details. Trip details means from where we are starting my journey and from where we should go. And in this trip, if we need any charging, then the vehicle will tell us whether it's required. And it will also find out the nearest charge stations. So these are the prerequisites that is required, and we have the instruction like how to build, how to run, and how to test this. So let's see the Visual Studio, like how we have built the models and what our controller may contain. So, in case of when we try to define any solutions, I try to see what my controller is returning in this case. So in this trip details, so it is returning the destination details. So if it is returning the destination details, then I'm trying to find out like from where, what are the service it is calling, or what are the mapping it may require. It also contains a algorithm which will give us the nearest charging stations, because there I think the scenario is kind of complicated, but I will not go into deep on each of the steps, but I will just tell you like what we have thought of like when we are writing a service from the beginning. So I have my controller and then program.cs and the startup. I will quickly go to my program. So it's like from where I am starting from where I am starting. I have not changed anything. It will come by default from the template I am taking. And then in the startup, here exactly we can define like if we are adding any authentication, or for example I have added Swagger, so we have to define those in the startup file. And then I will quickly go to my interface actually talks about the implementation I would be doing, or the or implementation I'd be doing to get the destination details. And this is my implementation, and this is the mapper which is going to help me to build the destination object. So let's quickly run the application. So it's already in running mode. I will just open Chrome. So this is the Swagger UI we have, and I will just try to have the hello message from. So okay, so this is my response, hello from API. So which means like my API is running, and then we have this trip, and then we have the trip query. I think we should rename it a better way, and which here exactly we should give. This is where we define like what is my vehicle identification number, what is my source, and what is my destination. Once we uh, once we click on execute, it should share us the destination details. But right now, all other like charging station details or the distance, all the endpoints are not working. So, but we will be working on the other APIs currently, because at present, the online demo for all this API, which is supposed to give this API, is not returning anything. So this microservice will not able to reach them. So it will just say like we are it should return an error. So basically, let's try it out. Yeah, I think it says like technical exception, mock service response contains error. So basically there is no response from the mock service. So we have to build the mock service in order to get the trip details. So in our next.
I just want to add one thing. So this is one of the advantage of working with microservices. So even if the integration service is not working, you can still test functionality of your microservice, whether this is taking the request or not, or it's accepting it or not. So at least those part can be tested. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the key points, and one of the reason that I tried to pick this example, like that's exactly what happens in real time scenario.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm trying data and that service is not ready. So I'm saying my service is available, but it is not able to read it. So once it's done, then only have an full-fledged testing of like we communicate or what should be the get. So I will just go to our code base here. So you can use this as a demo if you are starting with microservice projects and change the models or implementation and yes, maybe. as you required. It's not communicating with any database at present. It's just trying to call the mock services and doing any mapping of the response it is trying to receiving. And yeah, that's it. Logging is also not included, but we are aiming it to do it, in phase by phase manner. So that's for today. Have a look and let us know like how you are going with this.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Rima. That was good. Actually, you can start with using this template, or you can even use the Visual Studio template to start working with microservices. And the test UI which Rima showed, the Swagger one, that is the UI which is provided by .NET, where you can actually look into all the methods and you can test it. You can also use Postman. Maybe in our next sessions, we'll go in depth for all these, and then we'll also deploy it in containers. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Bye.